So one of the next things that they talked about, the second point, is gun trafficking. That's the second point they're going to go after, is gun trafficking, specifically interstate and intercity lines. That is, there's no doubt about that. That's a huge issue as far as gun crime goes.
Yeah.
And that's, big cities where there's a lot of gun legislation and gun laws that make it more difficult for criminals specifically to get firearms. They'll go from and buy guns from out of state, or guns from out of state will be shipped in and then sold within those cities and stuff like that. That's very common.
And unfortunately, that's like constitutionally protected because it is commerce between interstate lines, which is constitutionally the federal government's remit to be involved in.
Yeah.
And that just sucks because then that essentially gives them authority all over the entire nation, which is just not good for liberty.
There shouldn't be anything illegal about taking a gun from one state and selling it into another state.
Yep.
I don't, you're talking about a world of legal jargon when you're talking about taking it to a state and selling it to someone that you reasonably believe is going to use that gun in a crime. I don't know, I don't, as someone who is of the mind of free market, I believe the only thing that would compel you to not sell a firearm to somebody like that is your own morals. And if you're against that morally, then I question your morals, but who am I to tell you how to conduct your free business? I'm not going to do business with you because I don't think that morally we're aligned, but
like if an example, I guess, would be if every state in the union, you could easily just trade across straight lines. You have an internet store, right? That where you make this manufactured firearm, and then anybody can log in and buy it. And then when you get the shipping address, there is one state in the union that does not that pass a state law that says you can't import those into our state. Then it's up to, like you said, the morals of the manufacturer or the seller at that point, whether he wants to just do it anyways. But if it's protected on the federal level constitutionally, then like you said, like I don't think his morals would be correct if he decided not to at that point, because the Constitution says keep and bear arms. So boom, I'm going to do that. And then the state can get angry, but then I'm in another state, so who gives a fuck anyways?
And like I said, I'm not defending the morality of that, because I think that it's immoral. If you know that someone is going to go and do harm against another person, or potentially do harm, or if you even reasonably suspect that someone is going to do harm to another person, then you shouldn't sell a gun to them. That you shouldn't do that, because they're going to go and infringe on someone else's sovereignty and personal liberty. I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
So
don't give them the means, man.
So if you're a third-party seller, then I think that the person you're buying the guns from, should they find out, should stop supplying you with firearms, because what you're doing is morally questionable.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there should be any limitations on this.
Yeah.
I respect and understand the argument of we can't expect people to do the right thing. Our entire government is filled with people who are doing the wrong thing every single day. So that argument holds no weight to me. I don't care. Nope. I trust a regular individual far more than I trust the director of the ATF to decide whether or not what I'm doing is constitutional. I don't care. I don't care. Frankly, I don't care what the Constitution says, because when we're talking about gun rights, my ability to defend myself is just far past the Constitution. So we're talking about laws and stuff like that. I recognize it, but no, I trust a person that I meet over the internet far more than I trust some random worker for the ATF to decide arbitrarily what I'm doing is right or wrong.
Yeah, man.
I have no idea who you are. I don't know what your personal motivations are. I don't know what your justifications are. I don't know where you're getting paid from. I don't know any of that shit.
Yeah.
Especially if you're working for a gun lobby. Why would I listen to you? Whether you are from the NRA or from an anti-gun lobby, from the Giffords Institute, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know you. You have an agenda. If you're coming to me as a private individual, your agenda is to buy this gun.
Yep.
That's your intention.
Yeah.
And unless I can discern from you that your intent is to do harm with another individual, I don't have any reason not to sell this to you.
I think I like that way you couch that in the very beginning there. Is like, it's a free market principle. It's like, if you are a manufacturer of firearms, what's to stop me from selling to somebody that wants an order? Unless I know something about them that makes me go, I'm putting you on my client blacklist, which is something companies do all the time.
And I think is totally within their rights to do that.
Like it just seems like a really constitutionally and like liberty friendly place to sit at as far as an opinion goes. It's just free market, man. Like, let it all happen, and the seller beware.
And you can't legislate morality. There's no way to legislate morality, and that's the only thing when we talk about. You referenced earlier you referenced after I referenced earlier, the uptick in ghost guns in places that have more gun legislation. The only thing that underlines to me is that people who want to do crime are going to do crime. They're going to find a way to do it. That's the only thing that says to me. That doesn't say to me that ghost guns are more dangerous, because they're not. All these people, the president, anybody who's making a statement about firearms, even this young girl that was there, she said they shoot like a gun, they kill like a gun. Because it's a gun. That's a firearm. It's a home manufactured firearm. That's a primitive manufactured firearm, whatever you want to call it. It's a firearm. That's not any different than anything else. It's not any different than a tiny plastic one-shot pistol that you have to slap together. Those are all the same thing.
Yeah.
What you call it doesn't matter. What it's constructed of doesn't matter.
Yep.
It may or may not be more structurally sound and safer to use. It doesn't matter to me. If I get shot with it, it doesn't matter to me what it was called or what it looked like. You fucking shot me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yep.
You know, if I need to defend myself, I don't care what that gun looks like if I need it to defend myself. So
there's lots of different saws, man, but a saw is a saw.
The only thing that tells me is that people who want to commit crimes are going to commit crimes. And you can't do anything about that. And this was evident when you passed all this gun legislation and people continue to do crime. And now the next move is just, we can't stop them with this, so we have to try and stop them at ghost guns. It didn't work before. Why would it stop now, especially with ones that you can't track through your primitive means of trying to track people's self-defense means? You can't do it. We've shown us this already since the National Firearms Act has passed. You showed us you don't have the ability to defend against the enemy that you are, the ghost, the monster that you're creating. You don't have the ability to do this. So to continue to chip away at people's rights, law-abiding citizens' rights, isn't going to solve this issue. People who want to do crime are going to do crime.
You need not look any farther than the UK, where you basically can't have guns, and knife attacks are a very common occurrence, man.
Cut people. It doesn't. If you want to hurt somebody, you're going to hurt somebody. You cannot legislate morality.
Nope.
There's
you want to
no
do
way
crime,
to do that.
you're going to do crime.
And I'm sure a lot of people, that's a conservative talking point. That's honest. That is the truth.
I'm sorry.
That's a moralist, I think. I don't want to say that because I don't know what exactly that means. But to me, that's a moral argument. You can't legislate morality. That's not a conservative or liberal argument. That is, you cannot legislate morality. And trying to limit what I can do as a law-abiding citizen is not going to affect what a criminal wants to do. It will not change it. You know, because if there are people who are not criminals technically, but have questionable morals, and they're willing to facilitate that criminal doing that crime, then you limiting my rights again did not change that. They didn't do anything about that. You know, you cannot legislate morality.
No. And as a happy side effect, when you do try to legislate morality, you do that through tyranny. Tyranny you cannot get to morality through tyranny.
No.
It's a logical fallacy.
The third point that they want to hit on is community policing and crime intervention. So they're going to sink a whole bunch of money into this. They also told people, use the COVID money that you have left over on this, which really it really bugged the shit out of me because of
it's just become a fucking slush fund.
Just use the COVID money. Just use your COVID money because that's why it's there. That's what he said. That's why it's there. No, it's
not why it was there.
It's there because COVID. That's why you said actually it's not enough. This isn't enough, actually. We need more. But now you're saying that's why it's there. It's COVID money. It's left over. That's why the discretionary spending part of this is there. That's why Jansley is still effectively a tyrant in Washington. Is because that's why it's there. Tap into the COVID money. It's there for you to instill community policing, to put in community policing so that I can tell you that I'm not defunding the police. I'm adding to community policing.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Eat my ass. I'm not even on a defund the police, whatever tilt. Like I don't care. I'm gonna do. I got mine. You know what I'm saying? I got mine. I'm gonna do me. I don't need a cop to do that. If I'm in some shit, the first thing I'm gonna do is not call the cops. That's not the first thing I'm gonna do.
Right.
So there are some situations there. Well, that's not the first thing I'm gonna do. Especially if you're telling me you're defunding. That's not gonna be the first thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna. Nope. I got mine. So. I don't care about that, right? But don't do this double speak stuff to me where you're saying I'm not defunding the police. I'm implementing different ways of policing that don't involve police officers. They involve community policing and other people informing on other people and telling people and, letting police officers and other social workers get to know your community more. Let's not do this. Okay.
No. We did that once. They were called the brown shirts and it didn't go so well.
And if you want to do that, then that's fine. But let's call it what it is and say that you want to change the way that modern policing is done. That's fine if that's what you want to do, but let's be fucking honest about it and stop doing this bullshit of, well, I don't think defunding the police is right. I just think we should do it all completely differently. Like, let's not do that. Let's not play this game, right?
Oh my
Again,
God.
I don't care. I don't care. I got mine. It doesn't matter to me, but let's not do this. I don't want to be lied to, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to take people's jobs away and shift them to somebody else, that's fine. If there's less guns on the street, less shirted guns on the street, that's fine. But I want to know that though.
Right.
But let's be honest.
Just be straight, man.
I want to know that. If
Yep.
you're going to change this and there's going to be less armed police in the street, I want to know that because that's going to affect the way that I conduct myself as a private citizen. That's going to change what I have on my everyday carry. That's going to change what I have in my car. That's going to change that type of stuff. You know, if you're telling me this crime wave is going to potentially get worse, I want to know that. Let's be honest about what we're doing here. That's just where I'm at with that. Like I said, I'm not opposed to it. I think there's definitely some, because when he talked about it, he said, when people knew their neighbors and everyone down the block, like, shit was better. And I think there's some truth to that. If police know people better, then people know police better, they're probably less likely to do bad shit.
Yeah.
And they're more likely to tell someone, hey, I'm a little bit concerned about this person. I don't necessarily think that's the best way to go. And I also don't necessarily think that's realistic in 2020 when the population of Bremerton is 40,000 people.
Yeah.
That,
all you got to do is get swatted a few times, then you get to know the police, and then and then they know you, and then it all goes good from there. But that is interesting though. I didn't know about that. Use your COVID money. That's what it's for.
He literally, he said
that's
use your COVID money. That's why it's there. Yeah.
That's why it's there.
Yeah. And the fourth one is they're going to do funding for jobs and training for youth and ex-inmates. Again, I don't think that's a bad thing. You're going to try and get people out of the life of crime, out of the recidivism thing.
Yeah.
One of the huge things for youth that get involved in crime is they don't have shit else to do. They're in a community where there's literally nothing else to do. And that's why we talk so much about like location skate shop.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I got into trouble all of the time. If I had maybe a place to hang out that wasn't a place to just go and do drugs, maybe I wouldn't have gotten involved in drugs and selling drugs.
Oh yeah, man.
Maybe, right? If there was a different community for me to be involved in other than crime and drugs, maybe I wouldn't have been involved in that.
Yeah.
So I think there is definitely evidence to that.
Yeah. And
I don't know if we should spend federal money on it.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't think it's
if
the
we
bad
should
way to
spell.
go.
Yeah, I don't I'm probably okay with some form of federal spending on it, but I don't trust the people that are in charge to spend it correctly. Like, I don't want to just give it to the boys and girls clubs,
nor the wilderness.
Yeah, exactly. I want to make sure actual places where kids actually want to go hang out, where there could be more responsible people around, and it, again. A busy kid is a productive kid.
Right.
You keep them busy with all sorts of different activities, post-school. I mean, that's why fucking school exists to have, to begin with. They need a place to go. And then after that, you keep them involved in different things. You give them skate parks to go to. You give them basketball courts to go play basketball in. You give them activities to do that aren't so institutionalized that it scares them away.
Right.
And then, generally speaking, people can, there's more and more organic like actual grassroots like organizations that will do stuff like that. Some of them will be businesses. Some of them will be charities. Some of them will just be, social, what do you call that? A social welfare group or something like that. Like, things will come up if you are able to give them a little bit of funding or something like that. But the way the government goes about funding things, it's like you have to be this registered 501c3, and you have to be, you have to have your shit together enough so that you can hire a lawyer to write the proposal, to get the documents, so that you can get the grant money or whatever it is. I mean,
right.
It doesn't lend itself necessarily to the organic creation of social programs that will help.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready.